Hey guys, this last week we had a couple different people had sent us messages saying that we were meant to be together. So we thought we would tell you guys how we met. And I wasn't sure if I had told this story before, so I had to go back through all the Patreon videos to find out if we had actually told this story.
I didn't think we had.
So anyhow, it was 1991, and in 1990, in December of 1990, I had gone through a divorce with my first wife. And early in 1991, I was really depressed. Nobody in my family that I knew of had ever gone through a divorce before. And so I just felt like a total failure. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time, and I missed her. And my wife was moving on. I was having a hard time moving on at the time. And I had a home in Plano, Texas, and a guy that had worked for my father was a custom home builder, a guy that had worked for him and used to clean up his homes, had moved to California, and then 2 years later, in 1991, moved back to Plano. He didn't have a place to stay. Well, I had a 4-bedroom home, and I was there by myself. So I let him stay in a room in the house. He paid me rent, and he went to work for a grocery store in Dallas, Texas.
That's where I worked.
And he started dating the girl that managed the deli. And they were having a relationship. And one day, Mike, this guy, comes back to the house, and he told me, he said, "Greg, there's a girl up at work that I think you should meet." And then I'll be honest, he said she's very attractive, and she's a sure thing.
Sure thing, huh?
Yeah, meaning that she probably likes sex, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody does. But anyways, and that honestly didn't persuade me to contact Janet. I was just lonely at the time, and I just wanted to be around somebody. Because at the time I was hanging wallpaper, and I was working on new construction jobs. I was usually in the homes by myself, and so I was kind of becoming a hermit, and it was really starting to bother me. And so anyways, I waited about 2 or 3 weeks after he had given me Janet's number, and finally I was just so lonely. I called her, and I was actually out just driving around, and I stopped at a phone booth. Remember phone booths?
Yeah, way back in the day.
And I called her. And I told her that I was Greg, that I was Mike's friend, and Mike had already talked to her, and that I'd like to meet her. And so anyways, we ended up setting up a date to go to, what's the name of the place?
Dave and Buster's.
Dave and Buster's. You don't know what Dave and Buster's is? It's like an adult arcade. It's video
pool
games,
hall,
pool hall.
Restaurant, that kind of thing. Now, you want me to start on my side?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now tell me what you were told by Mike. And
Okay, Mike was actually working under me. We had worked on night crew. He was dating my friend Robin that was in the deli. Me and her used to hang out. Now, really wasn't dating that much. You were dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were going through drive-through and picking up girls.
Yes.
Drive-through, yeah. Now, and...
But I wasn't ready for a serious relationship.
No.
I knew I was messed up.
Yeah. Going through that. And I was actually not legally divorced. Okay, I had been through one divorce. My first husband, second husband, I didn't even know where he was. I really didn't care.
And you'd been separated for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I had 2 girls. So, and they were going back and forth with my first husband for visitation and stuff like that, going back and forth. Child support, that kind of stuff. Anyway, that was still, no matter what happens, my girls are gorgeous and grown up and wonderful ladies now. And his girl is just fabulous. Anyway, Mike comes over to me one day and says, my roommate, wants to meet you. And I gave him your number. I need your number. So I gave him the number. I said, okay. He's gone through a divorce, told me the whole story, and he's a nice guy, and he'd really like to meet you. I said, okay. I gave him the number. He gave it to Greg, apparently. And then I didn't hear nothing forever, and I really didn't even think about it. And I dated a few people because my kids, I really wasn't out that, party animal. I was living in Dallas in a duplex, me and my older sister. And I drove up to North Dallas where I was working all the time. And I drove a big Oldsmobile Delta 88 that had been wrecked on one side. Okay. We ended up setting up Dave & Buster's, like meet at like 6 o'clock or something like that. It wasn't dark yet. And so,
and earlier that day of our blind date, and I had never been on a blind date before.
Me either.
I was scared to death.
Me too.
But earlier, about 4 hours before the date, I had bought a brand new 1991 Corvette. I mean, it had 3 miles on it when I purchased it. And so I'm really proud of this car. This is the first really expensive Corvette that I had ever purchased.
Right.
And so, anyways, I pull up to Dave & Buster's, and I try to find the best parking spot underneath the light, where you can really see it. It was white with black. It was a gorgeous car.
It is pretty.
And so anyways, in the meantime, I ended up parking almost right next to where Janet's car was.
I parked so you couldn't see the bad side. I made sure that there's cars all the way down. He couldn't park beside me and see the bad side of my car because it's embarrassing.
It was shaped like a banana.
He did see the bad side anyway.
So anyways, I walk into Dave & Buster's, and she was already there.
I sit at the bar.
And Mike had described what she looked like, but I had not seen her yet. And when I saw her, I thought to myself instantly, oh, she is way out of your class. So then I went from being really nervous to being extremely nervous. Usually when you meet somebody, after you talk to them for the first few minutes, things get a little easier. No, I was getting more and more nervous.
Yeah, and I wouldn't shut up. I was nervous, and I talk a lot when I'm nervous.
And I didn't know what to say. I really didn't. So we had a drink, talked for a while, and we didn't even play any games. We just hung out there for a while. Mm-hmm. And so anyways, Mike had told me before I went on the date that if you guys get bored or want something to do, come back to the house and we'll watch movies together or something. Mm-hmm. Robin's going to be here with me, and Janet knows Robin. They're friends, so we'll just hang out and have a good time.
Right.
And so anyways, I asked Janet, well, would you like to come back to my house? And Janet looked at me and said, no, I'm not going to your house on the first date. Mm-hmm. And so anyways, I told her that Robin and Mike were there. Mm-hmm. And so she said, well, I'll think about it. Mm-hmm. And so anyways, I said, well, I just bought a brand new car. If you want to come over, you can ride in the car with me. She said, I'm not getting in your car. There's no way.
I'll take my car.
And so anyways, finally, I said, if you want, we can call Mike, and he can confirm that Robin's there at the house with him. She made me call my roommate. Uh-huh. And we called the roommate. I gave her the phone. She talked to Mike, and Mike said, oh, yeah, come on over.
We'll watch a movie.
Yeah, we'll watch a movie together.
Yeah.
And I lived probably 45 minutes from where we were.
Yeah.
So she drove
Dallas to all the way up to Plano.
Yeah. And so we get to my house, and I'm just mesmerized at how beautiful she is.
And he likes brunettes. He told me he doesn't normally like blondes.
Yeah,
my hair was real blonde back then.
Yeah, I never seriously dated a blonde. I always liked brunettes. So anyway, she follows me back to my house. We pull up in front of my house, and as soon as I got out of the car, I looked, and there was no lights on in the house.
Nothing.
So now I'm
there. But Mike's truck was there.
Yeah, but I was thinking, oh man, Mike set me up. Mm-hmm. This is not going to be good. We walk up to the front door, and I unlock the house, walk in.
It's all dark.
And I sat her down in the living room, turned the TV on, and nobody was there. Nobody was in the living room, the kitchen, the main part of the house. And so anyways, I turned on a video or something, and we were hanging out just talking, and we were both nervous then because we didn't know if anybody else was actually there or not. And so anyways, we started talking, and about 5 minutes later, I started hearing a bedboard hit the wall, just boom, 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 and I knew they're in the other room having sex.
Yeah. And I started laughing. He turned beet red.
Oh, yeah.
I was laughing, and then he goes, "I'm so sorry."
I thought
He's like, "Oh, so sorry." I go, "They're here."
I thought I found my dream girl, and she'll never go out with me again or trust me. And so, anyways, you know, of course, the banging against the wall was getting a little faster, and a little faster, and a little faster.
Yeah, it's good.
After about, and she was just laughing. I'm surprised Mike and Robin didn't hear, but she thought it was the funniest thing. And so, anyways, it stopped, and I'm thinking, thank goodness, you know, at least that's over with. And so, anyways,
2 seconds later,
yeah, just a few seconds later, we hear a door open to Mike's bedroom. And we see Robin go from the bedroom down the hallway to the bathroom, totally naked.
Naked.
They have no idea we're there. And I'm just, I was the color of a red apple.
Yeah.
And
Stop.
Janet was just laughing.
Yeah.
And of course Robin.
I said, "Hi, Robin."
Well, no, she didn't hear you that time.
Yeah. Well, she came
When
out.
she comes out of the bathroom coming the other way. Janet goes, "Hi, Robin." And then you see her run real fast into the bedroom.
her butt was bouncing, her tits were bouncing. It's so funny.
So then Mike and Robin come out a few minutes later, and Mike's red faced. She's in Robin's red face. They're both embarrassed. And so anyways, I'm thinking to myself, Janet will never ever go out with me again. And then the bad thing about it was the next morning, her daughters were flying in for a week for spring break, remember?
Yeah, for 2 weeks.
And so I already...
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So I already knew that even if we were going to see each other again, because Janet had talked to me about it, and she said, I don't want my girls to meet anybody that I'm dating until that person and I are established. So I knew I was going to go 2 weeks without seeing her. And so anyways, I figured I'll never hear from her again. Well, the next day, when she picked up her girls at the airport and got back home, when her girls went to sleep, she called me. And we talked for probably an hour and a half.
Yeah, for a long time.
And we talked for probably an hour on the phone every single day for those 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then
the day that you took them back to the airport, we went out that night. And since then, there's only been maybe 3 or 4 times where we've been away from each other for more than like 48 hours.
Yeah.
And usually it was a death in the family or something like that.
Yeah.
But
we've had our ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But
we argue all the time. We argue all the time.
We do.
But that's just us.
Yeah. Me working and, getting old and grouchy, and I come home grouchy sometimes. But we've been through a lot. Like, we hanging wallpaper. I quit my grocery store job and started hanging wallpaper with him. When we moved to Vegas, we weren't going to do wallpaper, but we had to. And we worked together all that time. Then the housing market stopped everything. We all got laid off. Started truck driving together, and we were together. We worked together constantly. This is the first time I've been away on my own job in, 30 years. Over 30 years.
And everybody told us when we decided to go into truck driving that, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. It's not a good job. It'll tear you guys up. It's the best job we ever had. Best decision we ever made.
It's stressful. It's a hard job. It's not easy.
But the money was incredible.
When we got our own truck, we did great. And I drove just as good as he did. We were a good team. We made a good team.
She was the mechanic.
Yeah. And
that's embarrassing for me to say, but it's honest. Her second husband was a mechanic. Mm-hmm. And in fact,
I used to help my brother and my dad with tools and stuff like that.
When they split up, her husband left all of his tools with her. And the first time that my father came over and saw all of these tools, he told me, he said, Greg, he said, man, you've got a really nice tool set. And I said, Dad, I said, those are Janet's. He looked at me and goes, you're not my son.
And when we, in my duplex, there's a little garage in the back. And, you know, with that Oldsmobile, it had a 350. It was a diesel, and it had a 350. But I had a Buick before that had the same engines that got totaled. So I pulled the radiator, you know, water pump, and, you know, alternator. All that was in that garage in the back. And Greg says, what's all this? I go, extra car parts for my car.
Actually, our second date, I went over to her place, and she was fixing a screen door. And I had never fixed a screen door before. She was tightening the screen on the door. And she told me, she said, would you go out to the garage and get me my splining tool? I'm like, I'm not going to admit that I have no idea what a splining tool is. I'm going to go find something out there. So I brought something in. And she just started laughing. She said, no, that's not a splining tool. And so I said, well, I don't know what a splining tool is. And she said, it looks like a pizza cutter.
Has two little rollers on both ends.
Yeah. And so anyways, I went out there and I found the right one. And she taught me how to change a screen in a screen door.
Yeah.
So, but she was a single mom.
Yeah.
And she knew how to do it. She did everything on her own. So she knew how to do a lot of things. So.
Yeah, I had this old truck before that I had to change the head gasket. I showed him how to change brake pads.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. And I don't remember how to do it, but I guarantee you she does.
No, I don't remember. So. I'd have to Google it now. It's been so long. All right, guys.
But anyhow, that's the story of our first date and my only blind date.
My only blind date.
Yeah.
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 But we've been, you know, from Dallas to Vegas to traveling in the RV. You've been in 40.
I've been in 47 of the 48 continental United States because we were truck drivers. She's been in all 48 because the one state we never went to was Maine, and that's where she was born.
Yeah. And he was born in California, and we met halfway in Dallas.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, huh?
I don't consider myself a Californian, though, because I spent most of my life in Texas.
Yeah.
So
I've been all over. Yeah. I've lived all over. I'm Air Force and Navy.
Yeah. Her father was a B-52 pilot, and so they would move from base to base.
Yeah.
So she was an Army or military Air Force brat. Air Force brat.
And my ex-husband was Navy, so so I got coast to coast.
Yeah. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this story. That's how we met. And I think we were actually meant to be together because we're never apart.
Yeah.
Other than when she goes to work.
Now, yeah. Yeah, even with knee surgeries, hip surgeries, hand surgeries, we stick it out.
Somehow. So, anyhow, I hope you guys have a great day. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.